Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Side Hustle Seattle. Now, notarizations aren't the only things that are starting to go remote. So are apostilles. So electronic apostilles are honestly starting to gain traction in a lot of states and hopefully in your state soon as well. If you don't know what an apostille is, let me give you just like a very quick crash course. So essentially what an apostille is a form of certification that accompanies official documents that you plan to use internationally. So things like, let's say, marriage certificates, birth certificates, it can be things like diplomas, powers of attorney, etc. A lot of times people get apostilles when they want to establish residency in another country. Now you may be asking, okay, well, any country I go to, do I need an apostille? Well, no, not necessarily, because in order for an apostille to be valid, it has to be between two countries that are part of the Hague Apostille Convention. All that is a group of countries, I think it's like 120 plus countries, that have agreed on a standardized way to complete an apostille process. So if you get a document apostille within a country that's part of the Hague Convention, and it goes to another country that's part of the Hague Convention, they will recognize that process as valid, meaning your documents will be valid as well. So you may be asking, okay, well, how do you actually get an apostille? Well, there are federal apostilles and there are state apostilles. For the sake of this example, I'm going to use the state version of it. So if you have a state issued document, let's say like a diploma, and let's say you live in California, but you went to state in Florida, you will need to go to the Florida Secretary of State if you need an apostille on your diploma because the document was issued in the state of Florida. So there are 4 steps that you need to take when you want an apostille. So first things first is whatever document that you're using, you typically want it either signed by a public official or you want it notarized by a notary in the state in which the document was issued. Now you may be asking, do all apostilles need to be notarized, or do all documents that I want to be apostilled need to be notarized? And the answer is no. A lot of times with public documents like birth certificate, marriage license, etc., those aren't typically notarized. And with private documents like a copy of a diploma or a power of attorney, those are typically notarized, but it'll just depend. So you want to make sure that you double check on that. Now, before you send it to the Secretary of State to get the apostille, you will attach a cover sheet. So with the cover sheet, it's just going to say which country that document is intended to be used in. And you have to pay like a fee. It's like $10 or whatever the case may be when you do want to receive an apostille, and it'll vary from state to state. Now, after that, you either need to physically go in and take it to the Secretary of State to get the apostille, or you can mail those documents in to get the apostille and they will mail them back. And then once your apostille is issued, you will have a stapled apostille certificate on the top of that document, certifies that it is valid for international use. And that is how you get an apostille. Now, it shouldn't be hard to see that this is probably pretty confusing and inconvenient for most people. There's a lot of steps, and oftentimes people need an apostille on a document in a state that they don't even live in, where electronic apostilles or e-Apostilles are actually looking to solve this issue. They will dramatically cut down on the amount of time it takes to get an apostille and also just make the process easier for people who are living out of state of the state that they need the document apostilled in. So what is an e-Apostille? Well, very similar to traditional apostilles, it serves the same purpose, which is to certify a document for use in another country that is part of the Hague Apostille Convention. The only difference is you will submit the document to the Secretary of State electronically, and you will send the document to that receiving country electronically as well. So the interesting thing is e-Apostilles actually aren't all that new. It's kind of similar to remote online notarizations in the sense that it's been around for a minute, but it's only now kind of gaining traction, especially internationally, and definitely in the States. I think there's like 5 states currently piloting doing e-Apostilles out here, but it's not fully rolled out, and all states don't even do them yet. But again, hopefully they will soon. Now, I actually had the opportunity to talk to a woman who works at the Secretary of State in Montana who actually processes the e-Apostille. And so she gave me like a rundown of how it works so I can actually share it with you all. So generally the way it works is you can actually get an e-Apostille on a document that originated digitally or one that has been scanned to be an electronic copy. So similar to a traditional apostille, they will attach an apostille certificate, making it valid for international use. Now, the difference is obviously with a traditional one, it's a piece of paper. In this case, it's an electronic version, and it works a lot like a digital certificate. So if you were to click on that apostille, you should be able to see who issued it, what date it was issued, when it was last edited. So that way it can make it secure and tamper evident. So if somebody were to go back and mess with it, the receiving party should be able to see that it has been tampered with, so they know if they want to accept or deny it. So it goes without saying, if you submit to get an e-Apostille and they give you back that e-Apostille, you need to send it to that country electronically as well. So you can't be like, oh, I want an electronic apostille and then I'm going to print the document. That's not going to work because they need that electronic version of it to be able to certify that whoever did the apostille is actually valid and who they say they are. If you just print it, they have no way of knowing if that actually came from the intended party. So just know, if you receive it electronically, you have to send it electronically. Now, she even alluded to the fact that there's softwares that are out there that a lot of states are piloting that will actually make it easy for you to upload multiple documents that can then be sent to multiple secretaries of states. So let's say that you have documents that have been issued in 4 or 5 different states. Instead of you having to go to each secretary of state and do the process 5 different times, you can upload to one software. They'll disperse to the necessary secretaries of state, send it all back to you, and you can send those documents or receive the documents back to yourself. Or if you're a notary who is performing an apostille service, you can send those documents directly to your customers. Now, as a notary, you're probably either saying to yourself, this is fantastic, or you're saying this is going to be absolutely terrible for my business. Mainly because, if you probably didn't know, a lot of notaries actually opt to have an apostille service as part of their business because a lot of documents that get apostilled do get notarized. So they may as well just go ahead and finish off the last steps as well. And from a consumer standpoint, it can be very confusing and time consuming. So they opt to have somebody else handle that process for them. And the good thing about it is people pay a decent amount of money to get a document apostilled. To pay for it, to do it directly, it's only like $10 for you to get it done to the Secretary of State, but that's time that you have to spend driving to the Secretary of State or mailing the document or figuring it out. And so a lot of times they'll pay $100, $200 for somebody to just handle the process for them. And obviously that is a lot more money in your pocket as a notary. Now, you may think, okay, well, if I do e-apostilles, that makes it easier for the consumer, which means it's going to cut into my business. I don't know, maybe not. I think the biggest thing is it's still going to be confusing and there's still going to be a lot of hand holding. I asked that about the lady who worked in Montana. I said, have you seen that a lot of notaries are kind of being cut out of the equation because it is easier? And she said maybe in the long run, but for the short run, no, because most people still don't know what they're supposed to do. And they do like just having somebody handling that business for them. So hopefully with it being electronic, you're able to actually take on more business and do more things because it will be easier in the long run. Also, I think it's important to remember that not all documents can be done electronically. So documents like birth certificates that need to be on security paper are still going to have to be done traditionally. So there will always be a subset of documents that have to be done traditionally. And similar to remote online notarizations, people are always just skeptical about doing things electronically. So I think you're still going to have those traditionalists that no matter, even if e-apostilles are a thing, they're going to want to just get the physical stapled sheet like before and not even deal with the e-apostille with fear that it's not going to be accepted. It will be accepted, but I think a lot of people think it's not going to be, and they're just going to opt to do it traditionally. So just keep that in mind. It's not going to completely take away business. But I am so curious about what you think about this new development. Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you think you're going to take advantage of it when it comes to your state? Please give me all of the information in the comments. As always, thank you for watching my videos. Catch you next one.